Nobody loved Piedmont like I did. I loved it with a passion. I played basketball and baseball. That's all we had. To go to Piedmont was just sort of a common thing that I would be doing. I lived right up the street here, and I was in Demer School, moved here from Buford. Well, at Buford, I played football, baseball, and basketball. I was on the starting team in the 8th and 9th grade, 8th grade being high school at that time. My daddy, he would always be moving. If they'd offer him a dime more, he would go to a cotton mill. Well, here we come to Lumite. He came to Lumite, we moved into Demarest up here, and my coach down there was an old Piedmont graduate. He begged my parents to let me stay with him until I graduated. They wouldn't do it. And I came on up here, and we played it over here, and wound up with a good team there. Went to the state 2 years.
We was on the school ground up there, grammar school. And we saw him coming, walking up through there, and he come on up there where we was at. I don't know what we was doing. I said, fixed to play ball. He said, "Want to know if he could play?" We told him, yeah. And so that's the first time we ever met him. And then he was with us all the time. I tell you right now, we were a close knit, I say family, because if we was out, most time we was up on the school ground at Demarest School, grammar school, shooting basketball in the dirt and all. If we didn't play there, we'd come down here to the Piedmont gym and play. And if we wasn't together, somebody had to be sick or something.
I can tell you a good one on Maxie though. I had carried them somewhere shopping, Mother and Daddy. I was in high school, and Mother had made a cake to take to church out there for some reason, and she left the cake sitting out where it would cool and so forth, and had it all fixed up, iced, ready to go. We come back, there's a half cake there and a note by it, signed by Max and Donnie. Said, "We was up rabbit hunting and got hungry. Thank you." Mother and Daddy both thought it was real funny. But, we were all just that close to growing up.
Yeah. They made it 12 grades, and I was in the 11th up here, 10th and 11th. And I came back another year because we'd have had all 5 starters that we went to the state that year. We'd have had all 5 starters back, and they would all go into North Habersham instead of South. We had a good year in basketball. In fact, we went undefeated that year in basketball until we hit the region tournament. Once we hit the region tournament, we'd done beat Rabun County twice. They wound up and beat us in the finals of the game of the tournament. But we both went to the state though. And we got to go to the state first year that North Habersham had a team.
We had the only undefeated team North Habersham ever had. And what my job was, I brought the ball down the court, and we had all set up plays. We ran no fast breaks. And I'd work the ball in to either James Sosby, Bill Pittman, Donnie Martin, and if they weren't open, I passed it to Maxie and he hit the bucket and we went back up the field.
He was always good. That's like Jerry said, when we played, I played forward in the left-hand corner of the gym. And he, like Jerry, when he was kind of open, you threw it to him and he made it. We went to the state 2 years in a row.
Yeah. The first year we went down to the state, we got down there with less than 10 minutes to go, was 13 points ahead of Sandersville. When the game ended up, I was on the regular left on the field. Maxie, Donnie, Bill Pittman, and James, all four had fouled
out, yeah.
And we got beat 3 points by Sandersville.
Now I'll have to tell you a story about, I'm sure you might not have heard of it. I'm sure Audrey Garrard. You've heard of her? She was an English teacher and literature. Hard subjects for me. So, but she was my next door neighbor. I went rabbit hunting there one day. I was supposed to be at school, and I get back in time to practice. Well, Coach K said, "Maxie, you're in big trouble." Says, "Audrey has preached your funeral. She is gonna rake you over the hill," and this and that and the other one. She was my next door neighbor, and she liked me pretty good, I thought. So I had some rabbits. I cleaned some. I cleaned all I had, which was 4 or 5. And I carried her 2 clean rabbits to eat. I thought everybody eat rabbit. Well, I carried them to her, and she said, "Maxie Skinner, if you think you're going to get away with me with 2 rabbits, you've got another thought coming." I said, "Miss Graw, if you'll wait just a little bit, I'll go back and bring you 2 more." And that's the truth. So she cracked up, just laughed, and took him and went on. That's Coach Cave always liked that.
We used to go hunting at least every other Saturday. We had a pack of beagles, and Maxie had a pack.
Yeah, if it started snowing while I was in school, he'd come get me out of my class. He said, "Let's go hunt." So I'd go tell my teacher I had to leave. So we'd go hunt.
Enjoyed it. We couldn't have grown up in a better place.
Another thing now, you remember the Atlanta Constitution and Journal? It was 2 different papers. Furman Bisher, you remember when he was a sports writer?
Yep.
He came up to interview me my senior year. He came up, didn't tell me that he was coming. I don't know, don't think he told Coach. He just came up to interview me. Talked to Coach. He said, "Well, he's not here today." He said, "Well, I'll come back another day." Well, I was rabbit hunting is what I was doing. I'd done a lot of rabbit hunting. And he came back another day, came to see me, interview me. I wasn't here then. He came 3 times. I was not even here the 3rd time, and he said, "Coach, I just talked to you. How about you tell me something about this guy?" And I had been rabbit hunting 3 times. He came up to interview us. I scored a good many points, and the best game it was ever in that old gym was Piedmont, and it's now Georgia Southern. It was Georgia Teachers College back then. We never beat them. We just couldn't beat them. That's about the way it was. Chester Webb was their big center. He was from Livonia. Good friend of mine now. I go down there and he hunts with me. We hunt some every year. But we had that game over here at Piedmont, and I remember J.B. Scarce was their coach. Well, we started off, and I wasn't hitting too good. I was shooting long shots, and mostly what I shot was long shots, and I just wasn't hitting them, and I missed. I don't know, it was several first half. I wound up, I wound up the second half. I hit 15 in a row, I think it was, from jump shots from just past the center line. JB was hollering the first time, "Let him shoot out there, let him shoot. He ain't gonna make nothing there, let him shoot." Second half, I started hitting. "Get him, get Skinner, get him." And that's the way it was, sure enough. And Chester was hooking the ball. Now, you know what a hook shot is. Not from underneath and not from the foul line, from the corner, which would be a tough shot. His arm, and I'm swearing this is the truth, his arm would be out of bounds as it came over to hook it. He made several of those shots that night too. He got 47 points and I got 46, and we beat him. I think we beat him 10 points before it was over with, but that's the only time we ever beat them. I held their record on their court when Chester was down there. 43 points was a record on their court, and nobody ever beat it until just a few years ago. We didn't have the 3-point back when everybody always claimed that I'd have had more than 2,000. I scored a little better than 2,000, and they said I'd have had a 500 or 600 more if it had been a 3-point, because I did score a lot of 3-points.
Back then, if they would have counted 3-pointers, they ain't no telling how many points Maxie would have made.
There was one night we played up at Nakoochie in that old gym up there, and there wasn't no windows in it, and it was one of those kind of nights that it was real cold, the wind blowing, and blowing a little snow. And now you hear about them, but that actually happened. We got out there, and the first half we couldn't even get warm. I mean, we couldn't even get warm, and this beating us at the first half. But we got out there at halftime and run us around the court until it was all sweating, and then we went out the second half and laid it on them.
I'm gonna tell you, I started off real little playing, and over at Brazelton, I remember I'd shoot long shots back then, top of the circle. That's about the main thing. I done the drag shot. I'd shoot foul shot, the drag shot. Most everybody did back then. And then when I went to North Habersham, I had seen Perkins. What was his first name? But he played, when I was in high school, he played for Georgia Teachers College. Smoothest player I had ever seen. I mean, he was smooth and good. Still, Scotty Perkins, that's it. He could shoot the jump shot. Back in, nobody even knew what a jump shot was. High school, they didn't. I noticed it. So I started shooting a jump shot. I shot the first jump shots it was around here, but I done it a little different. I'd take the ball and I'd have my back to the basket, sort of about the foul line or something, and I'd turn and go this way, or I'd fake this way and turn that way and jump up and shoot it. That's where I'd do it from if I didn't have that. Of course, I wound up shooting it on further than the top of the circle, jump shot. But to me, I believe that was the first jump shots in high school in this area, and when I was doing that. Another little story about Georgia Teachers College playing baseball. Down at Georgia Southern again, we went down to play them a baseball game. Well, we got there a day ahead of time. And we went out to the gym looking around, you know. And they had this guy up there working out boxing. Well, I had a cousin that come to move and stayed with me to play baseball, really, from New York. he had won the Golden Gloves in New York. They had this boy that played first base, Jimmy Ford, played first base, and they said he's the best around. I said, well, let's just have a little box, man. We got a boy that can box pretty good. And they said, okay, in the morning, 9 o'clock. Meet us there at the gym. 8, might have been 8 o'clock. Well, we was meeting and they was fighting. My man, my cousin, he was something else. He was killing him. He was wearing him out. Their coach come in raising cane full, run us out of the gym. Oh, we ought to know better than that and things. And he stopped that business right then. The boy that my cousin beat, Jimmy Ford, beat us in the 9th inning with a home run. He played first base, beat us with a home run, and you had that bank that if you went over in the right field, you went off that bank, you was in trouble. And over on left field, you had a bank to go up, and it had a hedge up in front of the old library. There was a hedge up there. Hit it over that and home run. They claimed Johnny Mize hit it over that into the church down there across the road. Now they claimed that he did that. They got my doubts about that. Now, you know, Dr. Walters was a stingy man. Well, he come and watch every game we played baseball. He'd stand in left field out there. He'd have a handkerchief tied in 4 corners over his head. Just you can imagine how, and that he'd stand there and holler and they go on. And he told me that particular day we was playing Georgia Teachers College. He said, Maxie, I'm gonna tell you now, if you'll hit a home run, I'll give you $5. That was something for him to give away, $5. I've told a lot of people about that and they didn't much believe it. But anyway, I hit a home run over the hedge up there, and I was playing shortstop, and he sort of motioned that he had a $5 bill. Well, another bat or two, I hit another, and he held up 2 of them and gave me 2, and a lot of these alumni, they can't believe that yet. They can't believe that yet, that he gave any money for anything, but he really did. He did that. You'd play at the top, and you could run downhill better than you run uphill, but it was it was pretty short to left field. Got deeper in the center and right. Now, right field, the back thing down there was the old gym. Cal Callagher. I guess you've heard of him, have you? Mm-hmm. Well, he passed away a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Cal Callagher, batting left-handed, hit one on top of that gymnasium. He was not the only one that hit one on top of that gymnasium. Wasn't me. Bruce Stroud. He was really a good player too now when he played. But he hit one on top of that gym too, and that's a long knock now, sure enough. And a lot further than mine over that left hedge up there. That was it, the old hedge and the old gym.
Oh yeah, me and Max went down there when they had a tryout. They put it in the paper, so Max and I went down there and got us a place to stay. So every morning we'd get up, go to the Ponce de Leon field and practice. Of course, Maxie was shortstop, and I played center field all the time. They'd send so many home every day. Well, I suspect to say, you don't need to come back tomorrow. But Maxie and I don't know how many was left on Friday. But Max and I were in the group that was still there on Friday. So I thought, well, I done pretty good then. But after we got home and all, I forgot now, about a week later, I guess, or maybe longer than that, about a week, I guess, they wanted Maxie to come back down there. But he decided he didn't want to, for some reason. I asked him here a while back about why he didn't. And he said, well, I was thinking about getting married, and I decided I didn't want to do it. Put my wife through it.
How about typing? Look at them hands. There ain't no typing in them, but I could type about as good with them good hands as that would do now. You had to do 25 words to get credit for it. I remember that. Ms. Mulkey was the type teacher. She lived in that big white house up on the hill. It was right above where I lived when we first moved here. I'm trying to tell you where it was. It's sort of behind here, really, right back over there. That's where it is. And she said, well, if you don't get 25 words, you can't pass. I couldn't do 25 words if I'd have cheated, which I did if I could. But I got 25 words thanks to her. That's all I could say. Is I wasn't going to be doing nothing with no typewriter no way. But anyway, I did pass that one. Okay. They had two fellas from Russia that taught chemistry and not biology. What's that other course sort of like? They were both in that old house over there. Anyway, one of them taught that, and the other one taught that other course, physics, I believe it was. There wasn't no way I was going to pass physics, but I took it. It was at night. Well, I remember we was having a final test. Limacol. Anyway, we was having a final test, and I said, Mr. Limacol, I'm awful thirsty. Let me go get a Coca-Cola. I'll get you one too, and I'll get me one. Okay, Maxie. He sort of talked a little funny. Okay, Maxie, something like that. I left. He went to laugh, and they said, what you laughing about? He said, that Maxie, he thinks I don't know. He's going to get us a Coca-Cola and look up the answers in the book. But the thing about it is, the answers ain't in the book. That's what he told them, and hey, I couldn't find it. I come back now. I couldn't even find the answers in that book. He went to life, and I wound up passing that one too, but just a gift, like several of them I got. I think I got more gifts than anybody probably. That's a good old days. Piedmont was fine, you know. Then I went over there, coaching them after Coach Cave died. Coach Cave was the finest coach. Maybe not the best coach in the world. People will tell you that. But now he was the finest gentleman of all coaches to me. Mark Rick, that you know what's happened down there, that to me puts him and Coach Sorter in the same class. Coach had everybody that knew him loved him. When he retired, I put together, asked Dr. Walters would it be okay. He said it would. If I tried to get some money from alumni to buy him a new car, they okayed it, if I could see if I could do it. Well, I went to work, really. Now, a lot of work, but I had a lot of help too. And we got the alumni working and things, and we put together enough money to buy him a new Buick. That's what I got him. Got it from Tabor over at Toccoa, and gave it to him, and he was a ticklish thing over that Buick. Every day he'd go by the car wash down there, rinse it off, every day. He would do that. And he drove it a long time too. When he first came to Piedmont, and when I was with him playing, he still had an old Buick that had them fins on the back, like a Cadillac sort of. Well, he had an old Buick that was the same way, and he had it a few years there before he ever changed. We traveled in cars, and I drove one. My daddy let me drive one, and we had an old Hudson. Well, we played over Charleston, South Carolina, and we stopped to fill up. Well, there's one pump there that nobody got, and I hurried over and got it so I could get filled up. And I filled it up, started to run it, cranked it up. Smoke went everywhere, covered up people. But it was running. I had put diesel oil in my car, and we didn't get it out. We just run it out down the road and filled her up again when we could. But I made a big mistake right there. I never will forget that. When I was playing, you know what I got a quarter for a scholarship? $90. That's what they would give a player. $90. And when I coached, it wasn't much more, $250 for a year, or no, a quarter, $250 a quarter for a basketball player. So you see, you couldn't win because you couldn't get the big player. I got a good player, Johnny Hurd from Elberton. And the first night we played a team that we couldn't ever beat, and that was, what was that, over in South Carolina. I can't, from Dewberry or something.
Newberry?
Near Dewberry.
Oh, okay.
You can't think of it. Anyway, we just couldn't ever beat them. We beat them that night. First game that I coached, Hurd got 43 points, I think it was. He played one more game, I believe, and they like I had trouble all the time. Flunked out, went home, never came back. He was ineligible after he got the grades, and so he didn't play much, but he was one heck of a player. He had a lot of scholarships offered, but they couldn't give him nothing because he couldn't pass. And I didn't pay the grades no attention. I just took him on. But I found out later on you gotta watch them grades or they won't be with you. But anyway, I started off my first year making more than Coach was making when he retired. I got it up to $35,000 is what I made over there. That's what I made. I started at Banks County. I coached, I was athletic director, coached baseball, football, we had football that year, baseball, football, basketball, 6 teams of basketball. I had the boys and girls, B-team boys and girls, 7th and 8th grade boys and girls. By myself, I was the only coach down there. We just had one. And I drove the bus, cheerleader sponsor, and they paid me the salary of $750 extra to do all of that right there. I live right across, I live from here, top of the hill from the school. But they never did know it, but I would have done it for nothing, to be honest with you. I would have, which that was nothing, to be fair. $750, and it didn't go up for a long time. Now, Piedmont put in golf after I got over there. We got the course built. We included golf, which Coach had started a golf team, and we've had a good many people to finish golfing, and they got a little scholarship too. I'm trying to think what Coach made when he retired. I think it was still 27,000, I guess, for a year. Well, I took the job, they give it to me, and I took it, I turned it down over the weekend. He offered me a little more. I took it again, I turned it down. Finally, I took it on the third time, and the president was, what was his name? After Walters. Hey, dang, I can't think of him. Simmons. He had $1,000 in the golf course. These 5 of them put $1,000 in a piece. Could not take it out until the golf course made them some money. That was the deal. Lots of people that play golf started at Piedmont College. They did. A lot of people around here was proud of it. They gave them a place to play. And then I put my brother to work, and his wife, she would look after the clubhouse, and he would water the greens when I couldn't do this and that. Say comes Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Maxie worked hard and long to get to, and my brother, to get the golf course ready for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'd get it ready, all right. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I had a place at Clark Hill. I was down there fishing every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you might say. Just about every one of them. And then I'd come home on Monday. I'd get in Monday and work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, get ready for Saturday and Sunday, then I'd go back down there. That's my life right there. Now, I had a time, I had a fine fishing boat, and I had 2 trailers down there that we live in, and I got Scott one, and he bought and paid for it, and that's where his daughters, very best of them, they grew up down there. They'd tell you all about it. I'd fix breakfast for them every Sunday morning, I believe it was. They'd come on Saturday. We had some good times. She loves the game. She played at Rome over there at, I forget that school, but she played, and she was a top write-up girl every time a paper'd come out just about it, 'cause she would score anywhere from 10, 15 points every game, and get several rebounds. But she's a good shooter and could shoot good. And her coach over there liked to run her, jumped on her one time, told her to quit shooting. Don't shoot so much, shooting too much. Well, now that can bother you, because they never did tell me that, but they probably should have. And that sort of stuck with her for a long time, and she come over here, and I think she saw those girls was pretty good, and just a little scared of it. Then she got around them and watching them, and got the fever again, what she done. Now she's got a little sister that is fantastic, honest to God. She's in the 10th grade. The paper was all about her this night. They beat a real good team this past week in a tournament, Thanksgiving tournament. First half she scored 23 points and had about, I believe Scott told me, 8 or 10 rebounds and about that same number of assists. You want to know how many she scored the second half? did not score. Didn't score. Quit shooting for some reason. Scott never did find out, her daddy never did find out why she quit shooting. He said she started feeding it to the other girls more, and said they liked to got caught up with, and got beat, but they didn't. And she had a good game, but she is a good player. She can bring it down the floor, put it behind her back, through her legs and all that junk. I never could do that. Never could. And you know, the old gym, when they quit now, they had retired my jersey, but baseball coach is gonna retire my jersey again. I guess y'all know about that. He's gonna do it again because he found it somewhere. They had stolen it. Somebody had stolen it off of the old gym. It was up in the corner like that. They got up there and got it somehow, and been gone for several years until he come back, and somehow he located it. I think he found it in some of the old dressing room or something. I don't know. I don't know where he got it. He might have told me when he was over here. He and Doc came over and talked to me about it. Doc says, finest guy, one of the finest you'll have. He was my manager at Banks County for 4 years, and I brought him up to get him to come to Piedmont. It really, and you can tell, bring tears to my eyes. Really does. I'm sort of tender-hearted, but I thought it was just one of the nicest things they could ever do for me. And I appreciate it.
He done a lot of things. He done a lot of good here at this college.
Yeah, you know, when we was growing up, all the children, all the boys growing up want to be like Johnny Miles. And keeping what was said was about what Maxie would have done, don't you think that the children, the boys especially that play basketball, would try to pattern themselves after that? Maxie would be a good influence for them.
Piedmont, as you told me, I loved that place better than anybody in the world.